Steve Adubato coming to you from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, the Jim Wise Theater. This is Newark, at a crossroads, and one guy who knows why it's at a crossroads and the direction we need to go in is Dr. Donald Sebastian, President and Chief Executive Officer, New Jersey Innovation Institute at NJIT. Good to see you, Don.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing me to be a frequent flyer on your show.
Yeah, we love it because we learn something new every time. Don, let me ask you, you were telling our producers, and it's fascinating to me, industrial innovation.
Yes.
While you guys are involved in it here at NJIT, and it's a key part of Newark, there's a lot of history. Put this in perspective.
There is. So often lost that New Jersey was really the home and the birthplace for so many of great American industry. And a lot of it happened right here in Newark. We all know that Edison is a patron saint of New Jersey, but who knew that he actually did his first work here in Newark? His first invention, the stock ticker tape, was manufactured in several different factories he ran here in Newark, and his first R&D lab that became the prototype later for Menlo Park in West Orange was right here in downtown Newark. The building still exists. It's right across the street from the Devil's Prudential Arena.
How important, Don, and fast forward, because we talk about Newark at a crossroads. We talked to Dr. Bloom, Joel Bloom, your president, about this, about Newark being a college town. Big piece of that is the innovation piece. Talk about this new institute. Talk about the potential it has to make a big difference in the city of Newark and beyond, but primarily in the city.
Right. So going back in time, you could see how important that technological and industrial innovation was. It really built not only the economic basis, but the employment basis for most of northern New Jersey. A lot of it's centered here. We're trying to recreate that capability, but it's a different time. It's an era where you won't have a garage inventor, right? An individual is not necessarily going to start the industries of the future. It takes more people. It takes a huge cross-section of technological skills and business skills, big investment in equipment, and frankly, it takes the sort of resources that even many industries these days can't afford to do by themselves. So we've created something which is designed to tap into the assets of the university, to be able to bring in faculty and students, all who have imagination, who have technological depth and skills. They also have another job.
Give us an example.
So for example, we're working now on a whole project to dramatically change the way in which we do healthcare delivery.
Healthcare delivery?
Healthcare systems delivery. There is about $200 million a year in avoidable hospitalization costs right here in Newark. Information technology can be an important ingredient of how we do practice transformation. It's a business systems reengineering, but the primary goal is to move patients from depending on the hospital for primary care to relying on the family physician. As you and I probably grew up with a Doc Welby kind of environment, that doesn't exist in most urban
What does
centers.
technology have to do with that?
So technology becomes a way in which we create, the productivity, the horsepower for the physician to be able to handle an increased population base, but also the way of gluing together the physician, who is the primary care deliverer, to the specialists that have been part of the healthcare delivery, to the hospitals who are in fact going to be engaged in part of it, to the clinical labs, to the pharmacies, to the social workers, to medical transportation servers. All of these different entities have to be gelled to work to provide delivery for the individual. And if you can get that to work, the real future comes when we get the individual plugged into that IT network as well. And now it's a prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now you have all the opportunity to bring in information technology like diet tracking and exercise tracking that gets fed back now to your physician, to the various types of medical devices that are becoming down as inexpensive as a wristband to be monitoring your state of health.
And that's the role of a university
So this is something that there is a role of an institute like ours that can bring in those who are on the advanced front end of pattern recognition, data analysis that can extract information out of that environment. Those who are working on sensory technologies that can be brought to bear on inexpensive, affordable, and distributable forms of medical monitoring technologies, all of whom are also coming out of our business school and understand how to rethink the processes that have grown up in the stovepipes of the primary care physician versus the hospital versus the pharmacy, the insurers.
But Don, do this first. We've had some of these discussions before, and they're fascinating to me in terms of the possibilities. Bring it back to Newark, though. Mm-hmm. Talk to folks watching, not just in Newark, but throughout the tri-state, beyond the tri-state region, as to what that potentially means to the economy of the city, to jobs in the city,
Sure.
to the potential that the city could have one day again.
So that's an example where you start to breed the businesses who understand how to function in that environment, the software developers, the technology developers, by being a hub for these sorts of activities. And I'll give you some other examples. You then start to be a place where people want to be. They want to be close to where the action is, particularly for small and emerging businesses. They can't afford to fly all over the world to be the place where their concept is being put into play. We have related in this initiative that we call Smart City, to make Newark Smart City. Make Newark really an example of what people are calling the Internet of Everything. The idea that not only are all of us wired interconnected, sensory technologies could allow us to have more efficient transportation systems, more efficient civil infrastructure, a greater degree of responsive civil services. All of these are the great environment that happens as, in a sense, data becomes what electricity was in Edison's era. The idea that we can use data technologies to infuse in all kinds of existing products and services is now possible because the internet has gotten off the desktop and into the world around us.
Well, by the way, what about the students who graduate from New York being called a college town? We have a lot of colleges, in addition to NJIT. Those who graduate here, from here, they more likely to stay here and then invest here and build a family here, and that builds a city.
Well, imagine if all this happens, there's a twofold benefit. One, while they're here, they're going to be engaged in working on the development of their own future. B, they're going to develop ideas from that experience that are even greater perhaps than the ones they worked on as apprentices. And thirdly, we make this such a cool place to live and work, they're going to want to stay here, right? More than just a good bar scene, which I'm sure will evolve when you have a high density of young professionals, it will be a model urban environment. That's really what we're trying to drive. So it begins by developing the jobs of those who are doing the technology work. It creates installer, service tech jobs, all sorts of ancillary positions that come to support this. And after a while, it starts to build a culture where this is like the Silicon Valley of the future.
Give me 30 seconds on Military Park, because we're going to be talking about the guy who developed it.
Yes, yes.
30 seconds on that and the technological
So
piece.
Military Park is our first foray
Military
into
Park
the
is a
smart
key
city.
park in the city of Newark, across from NJPAC. It's in New Jersey Performing Arts Center. It's a huge piece of the equation. Go ahead.
Right. And so the developers have the ambition to make that a good example of how we might put technology into a public space.
How so?
For greater advantage. So imagine if we have interactive displays, your 50-inch plasma screen, but now it can interact with your personal device. So you can get information about what's happening in the park. You can figure out when the light rail is coming, so how you pick the train to get you back to Penn Station if you're a visitor. You can have a whole types of what we call push advertising, things that promote the businesses that are here in Newark that would be interested to you. And how does it know? Because what you carry on your hip already is telling the world what you're interested in doing. So the idea is, again, create a test bed environment where we can plug and play all these ideas, and now people can go from just testing it on their family to actually testing it out in the population.
Dr. Don Sebastian, President and CEO, New Jersey Innovation Institute at NJIT. Every time you join us, we grow and learn from it, and we're honored and pleased to be your partners here on the campus of NJIT for this special series. Newark is at a crossroads. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Good. We can't possibly be done already.
Yeah, we are. We have other interesting, that's why you're going to stay for the other ones.
Good.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thanks, Don.
Thanks.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by New Jersey Institute of Technology, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, Audible.com, Barnabas Health, TD Bank, Josh S. Weston, and by the law firm of Gibbons, P.C. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. This program has been made possible in part by the Fidelco Group.